In this video, we will show you how to use the audio mixer. You will use the audio mixer if you sign up for the audio position for in-studio labs. This is a typical audio mixer. You can see here that this mixer has 22 channels. Each channel has a corresponding input. So, for example, if you give an anchor mic number 1, his or her audio will come in on this channel. This is mic number 2, mic number 3, and so on and so forth. This knob controls the gain. The gain determines how loud each input is. You don't typically use gain to control how loud the microphone is during the show. It's typically used to set the microphone at its normal level before the show begins. This row here is made up of faders. Faders are used to control volume. If your fader is all the way at the bottom, we will not be able to hear any sound coming from that input. As you move the fader up, you will notice the audio coming from the input will get louder and louder. Typically, you want your audio to be set at the U mark, but you will likely have to make adjustments to your audio levels throughout the show. If you bring your fader all the way up and you are still having a hard time hearing the audio from a particular input, you can use the gain knob to make small adjustments to the overall audio level. Just remember to only add gain if it's absolutely necessary. This is the mute button. It will turn the mic on or off. If you want to set your audio levels before the show, you can set your level with the fader and then use the mute button like an on-off switch so you don't have to reset the fader after the show begins. You will want to monitor your audio throughout the show by watching your levels here. You want your levels to consistently be hitting 0. If your levels are too low, simply bring the fader up until your audio is consistently hitting 0. If the audio occasionally dips below 0 or above 0, that's okay. Just make sure that the levels are at 0 most of the time. Depending on the show and director, the audio person may or may not get any cues from the director. It's your responsibility to familiarize yourself with the rundown before the show so you know what input needs to be potted up and when. If you do get a cue from the director, he or she will say something like, "Bring her mic up a little bit more," or "Open audio on Mac A." This is the show rundown. You should get one before the show begins. If you don't have one, ask for one. This column will contain the information you need to determine what input is supposed to be up during each story. The rundown will also tell you which anchor will be delivering each story. For example, the welcome is marked Reader. RDR stands for Reader. This just means that the talent will read the script. You just need to have the talent's mic open for a reader. The second story is marked SOT. A SOT is typically a quote. This means that the talent will introduce the video clip, then the SOT will roll. You will start with the talent's mic open while he or she introduces the SOT. Just before the talent finishes introducing the SOT, bring Mac A audio open. Once the SOT begins, mute the talent's mic. You should be getting time cues from the QLab operator. When you hear the 10 seconds left cue from the QLab operator, make sure you unmute the talent's mic so they can tag the story. For example, Kiara will enter the SOT by saying,
"Every year, student fees are evaluated by a student-led committee and the results are given to students in an event called Truth and Tuition."
When Kiara is about halfway through the intro, you can bring the Mac A audio up.
"Every year, student fees are evaluated by a student-led committee and the results are given to students in an event called Truth and Tuition."
Once you hear the audio from Mac A start, you can mute Kiara's mic.
"Every year, student fees are evaluated by a student-led committee and the results are given to students in an event called Truth and Tuition."
Annual address to Dixie State University students about what the student fees are being used for in the upcoming school year. Student Body President Taylor Godfrey sits among those a part of the Student Fees Allocation Committee.
You can see on the rundown there is no tag for this story. This means that when you hear the 10 seconds left cue from the QLab operator, you can get ready for the next story by unmuting Hannah's mic.
There will be another chance to catch the Truth Intuition on March 13th at 8 a.m. in the Gardner Center, Room C.
The Mr. Dixie competition is an honor tradition here at DSU.
The next story is marked PKG. PKG stands for package. During a package, the talent will introduce the video and then the video only will play. So, start out with the talent's mic open. Then, when the director gives you the cue, or when you can tell the talent is almost done introducing the package, you can bring the audio up on Mac A. Once the package starts, mute the talent's mic. Once you hear the 10 seconds left time cue from the QLab operator, bring the talent's mic open so he or she can tag the package. For the Mr. Dixie story, start with Hannah's mic open. Hannah will intro the package by saying,
The Mr. Dixie competition is an honor tradition here at DSU. Dixie Sun reporter Coyote Kajabula has all you need to know about the event.
When Hannah is halfway through the story intro, you can bring Mac A audio up to prep for the package.
The Mr. Dixie competition is an honor tradition here at DSU. Dixie Sun reporter Coyote Kajabula has all you need to know about the event.
Once you see and hear the package begin, you can mute Hannah's mic.
The Mr. Dixie competition is an honor tradition here at DSU. Dixie Sun reporter Coyote Kajabula has all you need to know about the event.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's a look at the newly crowned Mr. Dixie 2020.
Now, studies have shown that successful college students are made more successful through their social networking.
When you hear the 10 seconds left time cue, bring Hannah's mic open so she can tag the package.
For Dixie Sun News, I'm Coyote Kajabula.
The next big pageant will be D-Queen in April.
You can see that the Taste Around the World and Election Stories are also packages, so follow the same basic instructions we just covered for those stories. The Suntrans story is marked VO. If a story is marked VO, it means it's a voice over. This means that the talent will continue to talk over the video while the video plays. The talent's mic needs to remain open for a VO. If there is nat sound or natural sound in the video, you can bring Mac A up too. Just make sure you can hear the talent's voice loud and clear over the natural sounds of the VO. For the Suntran VO story, Kiara's mic will need to be open while she reads the VO intro. The director will cue the QLab operator when he or she needs to roll the video. When you hear the director cue the QLab operator, you can slowly bring the audio up on Mac A. Again, we don't want the sounds of the VO video to be louder than Kiara's voice, so we will only bring it up a little bit.
Normally, it's $1 to ride the Suntran bus, but from March until May, the rides are free. Suntrans is wanting to get the community familiar with their services, routes, and their accessibility. Suntrans is providing free transportation in hopes to gain more riders and expand with their future routes in the future.
As a reminder, RDR stands for reader. This simply means that the talent will read the script. The next story we need to focus on is the Super Tuesday story. The Super Tuesday story is marked OTS. OTS stands for over the shoulder graphic. You just need to have the talent's mic open for an OTS story. In this case, you can see that Hannah will be delivering this story. That means Hannah's mic needs to be open and Kiara's mic can remain closed.
Super Tuesday is over, but the results are finally in. Here's what we know as of now.
During breaks, the commercials will play for Mac A. This means that you need to have Mac A potted up and all other channels muted on the mixer. In this edition of the Dixie Sun News, for the second segment, sports anchor Michael Santascoy will be interviewing Coach Phaetonhauer. You will start with Michael's mic open while he introduces the segment.
Welcome back. DCU's baseball team is off to an 11-3 start to its season. Last week, the Trailblazers had a week off from action, and now they're back getting ready for conference play this weekend. Joining me here today is baseball head coach Chris Painhauer. Coach, it's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
All right, let's rock and roll. So speaking of that week off, how did you take advantage of the time off?
Yeah, you know, we got healthy. That was one thing. We've had 4 or 5 guys that have been dinged up, any number of different injuries, and having that time just to kind of recoup and get them healthy was priority.
Interviews aren't scripted, so there's no predetermined way to know when Michael will be speaking or when Coach Painhauer will be speaking. However, the rules for running audio during an interview are pretty simple. Bring Michael's microphone up when Michael is speaking and Coach's mic up when Coach is speaking. As long as you are listening to the interview carefully, you can usually tell when someone is about to finish asking or answering a question. If you can tell someone is about to finish asking or answering a question, bring the other person's microphone up so we can hear them when they begin to speak. As the interview comes to a close, Michael will thank the guest for coming on the show and then toss to break. You'll want to have Michael's mic potted up at this point and be ready to bring up Mac A. The third segment includes a few FSGs. FSG stands for full screen graphic. You just need to have the talent's mic open for an FSG story. There are a few types of stories that weren't included in this rundown. The first is a SOT-VO. SOT-VO is short for sound on tape voiceover. As you learned before, sound on tape is typically a quote from someone. This means that the talent will introduce the video clip and then the SOT will roll. Once the SOT ends, the VO will start immediately and the talent will speak over the VO video. So, start with the talent's microphone open while he or she introduces the SOT. As the talent finishes introing the SOT, bring Mac A up on the mixer. Once the SOT starts on Mac A, mute the talent's mic. You should get a countdown from the QLab operator. When you hear the 10 seconds left cue, you can open the talent's mic so they can talk over the VO portion of the video and bring Mac A down to the appropriate level.
Dixie State University commissioned a piece specially crafted for Zion National Park's 100th anniversary.
It's an embodiment of the active learning, active life slogan that we have here. The students are playing a world premiere. Music that was written for them and delivered to them, and we've rehearsed. Dr. Abeg has run rehearsals and prepared them for this really cool opportunity.
Composed by Steve Ricks, the piece Recreating Zion was a never-before-heard song played by the DSU Symphony Orchestra at its 3-piece concert on February 21st. The music students originally heard the song off of an electric recording, making the timing and initial learning of the song more challenging.
VOSOT is short for voice over sound on tape. The concept is the same as it is for a SOT-VO, just in the reverse order. The talent will introduce the story and then the VO will roll. Once the VO script ends, the SOT will start immediately. Start with the talent's mic open while he or she talks over the VO with Mac A set at the appropriate level. Then be ready to bring Mac A all the way up and close the talent's mic for the SOT. You will likely need to bring the talent's mic open after the SOT so he or she can tag the story. Throughout the show, make sure only the channels that need to be open are open. We want to avoid accidental sneezes, coughs, or laughs going out on air. As always, if you have questions or need help with something, please ask.